I feel very uncomfortable living in America right now. There's something toxic about the body politic. It wasn't always like this. My childhood was in the 1950s. I lived in New Jersey, kind of a small town. When the movie North by Northwest came out, I was 10 years old, and a neighbor brought me into New York City to see the movie at Radio City Music Hall. I was transported and transfixed. Republican Dwight Eisenhower was president at the time, as indeed he was for most of my childhood. My parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles were all Catholic. Now, they were also all Republican, and they liked that. But they liked Vice President Richard Nixon even better because he was very, very anti-communist. I went to a Catholic parochial school, and the nuns warned us that communist infiltrators might be living in our very town. And indeed, one morning we might wake up to discover we had a communist government and we were all enslaved. For this reason, my grandmother and my Uncle Barry believed Senator Joe McCarthy when he riled up the country about communists hiding in the State Department. When I was in my teens, and I began worrying about the Vietnam War, I began to realize that my grandmother and my Uncle Barry were very dominating in their opinions. And when I began to think the Vietnam War was a bad idea, my uncle would say to me in a very nasty tone, "Well, you have the right to be wrong." The rest of my family, my parents and my other aunts and uncles, were much less focused on politics. They liked it when Republicans won, but they didn't hate the Democrats who tried to elect Adlai Stevenson. And they voted for Richard Nixon instead of the Catholic John Kennedy. But when Kennedy won, they didn't hate him. And when Kennedy was killed, they and the rest of the country were traumatized, deeply saddened. Our president had been shot. I feel as if Obama was killed, Rush Limbaugh would yell hooray, hooray, and Rick Santorum would have his first non-procreative orgasm. That's not fair. Santorum probably wouldn't be glad if Obama was killed. I just couldn't resist the comment. But I think the birthers and the people who insist that Obama is not a Christian would be glad. Indeed, I think a lot of right-wingers would celebrate if Obama were killed, a lot like the Muslims who danced for joy on the day of 9/11. Am I right about the toxic tone of our country? Do you feel that the country is split in half, each half hating the other half, and one side waving not only the flag, but also the crucifix, perverting Christianity? It's as if Christ had never said, "Turn the other cheek," or "Blessed are the merciful," or "Whatever you do to the least of these, you do also to me." It's as if instead Christ said, "Blessed are the corporations, for they inspire people to value money above all else." Pass laws controlling sexual behavior, because that's what governments do. Force people to do things I never said, because a lot of elderly and mostly celibate bishops have said. I wish I were 10 years old and being taken by a kind neighbor to see North by Northwest. I wish the country hadn't turned into my grandmother and my uncle. I think starting in the 90s, America turned toxic. You know what I mean?
Who are you, America? That's the question CenterStage asked when we commissioned these 50 monologues. Want to learn more? Keep watching.